What if love had no expiration date? What if the story that captured hearts more than 3 decades ago was not finished after all? Imagine the moment when two of the most iconic stars in Hollywood history returned to the screen, not just to replay a memory, but to create a new one. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere are back together, and this time, the story of Pretty Woman is being rewritten for an entirely new generation. This isn't just another sequel, it's a chance to rediscover the power of second chances. Back in 1990, the world was introduced to Vivian Ward and Edward Lewis, two characters whose story unfolded in a way that no one expected. Vivian wasn't just a woman walking on the streets of Hollywood Boulevard, she became a symbol of transformation, courage, and hope. Edward, the wealthy businessman with a cold heart, found himself changed by her spirit, her laughter, and the way she saw life. Together they created a love story that didn't just play on screen, but lived in the hearts of millions. The movie wasn't just about romance, it was about breaking walls, challenging expectations, and finding beauty in places most people overlooked. Over the years, Pretty Woman grew far beyond being just a romantic comedy. It became a cultural moment, a reminder that fairy tales can exist in the modern world. From Vivian's stunning red dress to the unforgettable opera scene, and of course the balcony rescue in the final act, audiences held on to every scene as if it was their own. The film made Julia Roberts an icon and proved Richard Gere's charm to be timeless. It wasn't just a love story, it was the love story of its era. Now, more than 30 years later, fans still talk about it. They quote the lines, they laugh at the necklace scene, and they cry when they see Vivian finally believe in her worth. For decades, people wondered what happened next. Did Vivian and Edward stay together? Did their love survive the years, or did life pull them apart the way it often does? These questions lived in the imaginations of millions, waiting for an answer, and now, in 2025, the answer is finally here. Pretty Woman 2. Second Chances brings Julia Roberts and Richard Gere back into the roles that define their careers, but this time the story has grown older, wiser, and even more emotional. This is not just a continuation, it's a reimagining of what it means to love when life has already passed through decades of changes. Imagine Vivian not as the young dreamer of the 90s, but as a woman who has lived, loved, lost, and yet never forgotten the man who once showed her a different world. Picture Edward, no longer the hard-edged tycoon of Wall Street, but a man who has learned the cost of success and the emptiness that can come with it. When their worlds collide again after so many years, the screen doesn't just show two people meeting, it shows history, memory, and the possibility of a love story that never truly ended. The stage is set, not just for a reunion, but for an emotional journey that asks a question every viewer can feel. Do we ever really stop loving the people who changed us? Pretty Woman 2 isn't about starting fresh, it's about looking back, confronting the past, and realizing that sometimes life gives you one more chance to write the ending the way it was meant to be, asterisk after decades of silence. Their paths cross once again, not by chance, but by fate's quiet design. The camera opens on a crowded charity gala in Los Angeles. Vivian, now a woman of influence and grace, stands confidently among leaders, artists, and visionaries. She is no longer the lost dreamer from the boulevard. Instead, she is someone who has carved her own place in the world. The sparkle in her eyes remains, though it carries stories of battles fought and lessons learned. And then, in the middle of that dazzling night, her gaze falls on someone she never thought she'd see again, Edward Lewis. Edward, the man who once swept her off her feet, looks older, wiser, but still carries that familiar presence. He stands across the room, dressed in a classic suit, with a look that blends strength with vulnerability. In that instant, decades melt away, and what remains is the unspoken memory of a love that once defined them both. The audience feels the weight of the silence, the pounding heartbeat of a moment too fragile to break. Neither speaks at first. Instead, we see it in their eyes: recognition, disbelief, and 1,000 emotions flooding back in an instant. The trailer captures this with a slow-motion sequence. The chatter of the gala fades, replaced by a soft piano melody, echoing the notes of the original film's iconic soundtrack. As Vivian takes a hesitant step forward, Edward mirrors it. Time collapses, and for a heartbeat, it feels as though they are standing back on Hollywood Boulevard, where it all began. But this time, their faces reveal the cost of time, years lost, choices made, lives lived apart. Then their first words cut through the silence. Vivian's voice trembles slightly, carrying both warmth and pain as she says, "Edward." "After all these years?" Edward replies, his voice steady yet tinged with regret. "Some things don't fade, Vivian. Not. Even with time." The screen lingers on their expressions, the camera zooming on Julia Roberts' smile that is equal parts joy and sorrow, and Richard Gere's eyes that hold a lifetime of untold stories. From here, the trailer teases glimpses of their renewed connection. Coffee shop conversations filled with nostalgia, late-night walks where the city lights feel like old friends, and quiet moments where words aren't needed. The chemistry that once enchanted millions returns, stronger and deeper, reminding audiences that love can be rekindled, even after decades. But along with warmth comes the tension of reality. Vivian has built a life of her own, and Edward carries the scars of choices made long ago. Both are hesitant, afraid to believe in something that once broke the rules of their worlds. The reunion is not painted as a fairy tale, it is layered, bittersweet and real. The film asks its audience to reflect on their own lives. How often do we wonder about the ones who shaped us? How often do we wish for a second chance, even if we know it won't be simple? The trailer leans into this universal longing, reminding viewers that this story isn't just about Edward and Vivian, it's about everyone who has ever looked back and wondered, what if? As the section closes, the trailer intensifies. We see Edward waiting outside Vivian's office building in the rain, a clear nod to the grand gestures of the first film, while Vivian watches from the window, torn between stepping out and staying, safe in the world she has built. We see their laughter at an opera once again, echoing the magic of their past, but this time tinged with maturity. And finally, a single shot that lingers Vivian and Edward standing face to face on a quiet city street, the glow of a street lamp catching their eyes as Edward whispers, "Maybe love never really ends. Maybe it just waits." Asterisk the trailer now shifts gears. After showing us the quiet, tender reunion of Vivian and Edward, it begins to dig deeper into the emotional storm that follows. Love may return like a flame, but it is never without shadows. This is where the heart of Pretty Woman 2, Second Chances, beats the loudest inside the moments of vulnerability, doubt, and longing that remind us why this love story still matters. The first emotional beat shows Vivian alone in her dressing room after a public event. The camera lingers as she removes her earrings and looks into the mirror. For the first time, we see the conflict in her face. She is successful, admired, and respected, yet something feels unfinished. Her reflection seems to whisper of the past of nights filled with laughter, of Edward's hand reaching for hers, of the young woman who once believed in magic. The trailer lets silence do the talking here, pulling viewers into her unspoken turmoil. Then comes Edward's emotional counterpoint. A scene reveals him walking through his office late at night, surrounded by empty glass walls and the weight of solitude. The camera pans across photos of corporate triumphs, symbols of wealth, but no family in sight. He pours himself a drink, hesitates, and instead sets it down untouched. He looks out over the city skyline, the same city he once introduced to Vivian, and whispers softly, "All this." And still, it means nothing without her. This vulnerable moment exposes Edward in a way we never saw before, turning him from a polished businessman into a man haunted by what he lost. The trailer doesn't shy away from tension either. We catch glimpses of heated arguments between Vivian and Edward, their chemistry blazing not just with love but with years of unresolved pain. Vivian, her voice breaking, says, "You walked away once, Edward. What makes you think I'll let you do it again?" His reply is firm but aching, "Because this time, I know what I can't live without." Their exchanges are raw, filled with the weight of time, creating scenes that will have audiences holding their breath. Nostalgia threads its way into the emotional beats as well. We see Vivian entering an opera house once more, her gown flowing, her expression reflective. The scene mirrors the iconic moment from the original film, but this time the focus is not on awe, it is on memory. She closes her eyes as the music swells, and when she opens them, Edward is seated beside her. It is not youthful enchantment now, but something richer, the quiet acknowledgement that some experiences are meant to be shared. No matter how much time has passed. In another sequence, Vivian walks down a busy street, her heels clicking against the pavement, echoing the very first time audiences met her in the original. But now, instead of being overlooked, people turn their heads with admiration and respect. She has transformed, not because of Edward, but because of her own strength. This parallel becomes a powerful reminder that while love can change us, true growth comes from within. The emotional beats also highlight the stakes. A brief shot shows Vivian with a younger woman, perhaps her daughter or a mentee, indicating that her choices now affect more than just herself. Edward, too, faces complications from his past, hinted at through a tense exchange with a business partner who warns, "The man you used to be can't afford." Distractions? These moments inject the drama with real-life obstacles, making the love story more than just romance. It is a battle against time, fear, and the consequences of choices made long ago. The trailer crescendos with a montage of powerful images. Vivian and Edward sharing a soft laugh in a bookstore. Edward reaching for Vivian's hand in a crowded street. Vivian closing her eyes as rain pours down around her, and Edward holding out an umbrella, but waiting for her to accept it. The sequence is cut with quick flashes of pain and joy, arguments, tears, longing looks, until finally, one lingering moment remains. Edward standing outside Vivian's home, rain-soaked, whispering through the closed door, "I won't let history repeat itself, not this time." As the music swells, the trailer leaves audiences with a powerful impression. This is not just about rekindling love. It's about facing the scars of the past, accepting who they've become, and daring to believe that even after everything, love is still worth fighting for. The screen fades to black. The music drops to a soft heartbeat-like rhythm, and the trailer prepares to deliver its most powerful blow. A narrator's voice echoes faintly. Some stories never truly end. They wait. And then the silence is shattered by a scene that leaves audiences on edge. Vivian and Edward stand face to face on a quiet street at night. The city hums in the distance, but between them there is only silence. Their expressions reveal everything: fear, longing, and the kind of vulnerability that only comes when two souls realize they still belong together. Vivian, her voice trembling, asks the question audiences have carried for decades. "After all this time, do you really believe in us?" Edward looks at her, his face torn between pain and hope, and replies with a voice that breaks just enough to feel real, "I never stopped." The trailer then explodes into a dramatic sequence of quick flashes, each one raising the stakes. Vivian turning away in tears, Edward chasing after her through a crowd, the two of them standing inches apart but refusing to touch, as though the years between them are an invisible wall. We see a younger character, Vivian's daughter, perhaps asking, "Who is he, Mom?" A moment of pause, then Vivian answers softly, "He's the one I could never forget." That single line is enough to send chills through the audience, reminding them that this story is more than nostalgia. It is about memory, loss, and the courage to face what you've never let go of. The music builds, strings swelling, echoing the emotional weight of the original film, but now layered with the gravity of time. We catch glimpses of classic callbacks, Vivian laughing as Edward playfully snaps a jewelry box shut again. Only this time, it is older hands, and the laughter comes with tears. Edward waiting outside Vivian's home, echoing the balcony rescue scene, but now it is Vivian who must make the choice to step toward him. Every frame is designed to stir memories, while also creating something brand new. And then comes the central question, the heartbeat of the trailer. The voiceover asks, "Can love that once defied all odds survive again, after a lifetime apart?" The screen cuts to Edward standing in the pouring rain, his hand reaching out, as if reaching not just for Vivian but for the audience too. Vivian's voice overlays the image. Maybe some stories never end. Maybe they just wait for their second chance. The screen fades once more, and the film's title slams into view in bold golden letters. Pretty Woman 2. Second Chances, 2025. The audience barely has time to breathe before one final emotional punch is delivered. The trailer closes with a single scene. Vivian and Edward sitting side by side in a car at night, the city lights reflected on the glass. Edward looks over at her and softly repeats the line that once defined their love story. So what happens after the fairy tale? Vivian smiles through tears and whispers, "We find out." The music swells into a crescendo, a mix of romance and triumph, before cutting abruptly to silence. On screen, the tagline appears, "Some love stories never end. They just wait for the right time." The trailer ends with Julia Roberts' iconic smile fading into black, leaving the audience holding their breath, their hearts caught between past and present. It doesn't just tease a sequel, it promises an emotional journey that will honor the magic of the original, while daring to ask the question we've all been waiting to hear answered. When the screen finally fades, viewers are left with a feeling, not of closure, but of anticipation. The trailer doesn't just want you to remember Pretty Woman, it wants you to believe again, to feel that love is worth waiting for, even after all these years.